What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is James from 𝘍𝙍𝙆𝙆, and as you can see by the title, we've got a couple of things to talk about today. But before we do dive into that, what is going on with this transfer window for Liverpool Football Club? I mean, we've still done no business, and whilst I think we will do something, obviously the window's not closed yet. It's getting there though. I mean, it's late in the window now. This is the longest Liverpool have ever been in a summer transfer window without doing any business. It's not an encouraging sign. I refuse to believe that Liverpool won't do any business. Something's bound to happen late. You know, we've just had a new manager in. You would expect getting a new manager in that he would make a couple of signings just so that he's got, you know, some of his own men, so to speak, in the dressing room. Not that I think the players would try to undermine him, but it's just natural progression to expect a new manager to come in and then want to build his own squad. The fact that he's not doing that is a little bit of a worrying sign for a couple of reasons. You know, is Slot just a yes man who's been given this squad and it's someone else pulling the strings? We know the situation with Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, but like that doesn't sound ideal for a Premier League club fighting on all fronts, that he's just been thrown into a squad and it's like, this is it, deal with it. But like I said, the window's not closed yet. There's still time to do signings. I just think it's not the most encouraging of signs so far that we've done no business, when I think the fans are very aware, and that means the club must be very aware of where the shortcomings are in this squad and what positions need to be filled or improved upon. But on that topic, we do have a couple of things to discuss today. Before we do dive into that, if you can, give the video a like if you do enjoy the content, and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, to make sure you stay up to date on everything Liverpool. That massively helps us out, and it's free, so why not? I'm going to start with the Endo story because personally I feel more passionate about it, honestly. So let's start there. Most of this information is coming from David Lynch. He's the LFC correspondent journalist for the Sunday Mirror, the Evening Standard, and a bunch of other publications as well. And most of this information is coming from him. So let's start with what he had to say, which begins: sources have suggested to me that Endo is maybe someone Liverpool would be open to selling. He goes on to say, Endo is not going to be integral to the plans. That is very much my understanding at the moment anyway. It's my understanding that the player hasn't quite worked his way into Slot's plans so far in this pre-season. And both JamesPearce and LewisSteele pitched in to say if Endo leaves, he would need to be replaced, obviously. And Liverpool are not actively looking to move Endo on, especially until they sign a new midfielder, if they do. All of this then culminated in Fabrizio Romano making a report which said Liverpool rejected an approach from Olympique Marseille for Endo before they signed Ismael, Kone and Pierre Højbjerg. Talks around 14 million euros, as JamesPearce reports, but already collapsed weeks ago. Marseille are focused on other signings and other positions. First thing I want to say about these journalists are that the fact that these talks collapsed weeks ago and we're only just hearing about them could be a positive sign on the Liverpool front, that they're not actually, you know, journalists aren't aware of this information until weeks after. So, for example, there could be stuff going on right now that we just don't know about because journalists are not being briefed by the club, and that is absolutely how Michael Edwards used to work when he was in charge with Jurgen Klopp. So, like, I think it could absolutely be the case that it feels like nothing's happening, but stuff is happening, and we'll just know out of the blue, bang, Liverpool have signed X player, whatever. But in regards to the Endo situation, first of all, I mean, I don't know how people listening at home feel, but I don't want to get rid of Endo, especially if we're not going to replace him. It does say in a couple of those reports that, you know, LewisSteele saying there Liverpool won't get rid of him unless they replace him, which obviously is integral. You know, we've only got 2 DMs at the moment, and one of them is a child in Stefan Bajcetic. The other one is Wataru Endo, who I think, did we pay 15 million for him? Marseille have offered 14 million, so it's no wonder we said no to that. I think we'd be lucky though to make a profit. You're probably just looking to break even if you're going to get rid of him. I really don't think it's worth getting rid of him. I think he outperformed everyone's expectations. I think he was an integral part to the success we had last season. It might have been limited success, we could have done better, but I still think Endo was a huge part in that. And for the price we paid for him, the situation we were in after Lavia and Caicedo fell through, you know, it felt like a desperate buy, but I think he really proved a lot of people wrong with how well he performed at Liverpool, how integral he was that season. And this feels like a horrible way to reward that. You know, we've pulled the player out of his long-term club at Stuttgart for what is now looking like it could only have been 1 year spell at Liverpool, where he massively helped us out, where he overperformed everyone's expectations, and we're just going to throw him away if we get the right kind of offering. I can understand the talks about him not being part of Slot's program going forwards, you know, based on his age and based on the fact he was a Jurgen Klopp signing quite clearly. I could also see a reality where Michael Edwards is looking at the player profile and thinking, I don't want him, I would never have signed him. There was always a little bit of discrepancy between Klopp and Michael Edwards anyway in the past, so I can see that being the case. I can see why Slot would think he wants a younger player in there, or to develop a younger player. Could be Stefan 𝘍𝙍, but it still helps to have him in the squad. It still helps to have him as rotation, and I think that would be a role, given his age, that even he would accept at Liverpool. I just think he definitely should be rewarded by, I'm not saying we extend him, but certainly not sell him. Like, it does feel very harsh from a Liverpool point of view, especially when there's almost no chance we make a profit on it. So, you know, for me, I just don't understand why we do it. It seems a little bit like ill treatment. I know there's no room for sentimentality in football, but, you know, it doesn't feel to me like he quite deserves this. But I know that could be me in the minority there, because I've seen polls online on Twitter and stuff where fans are voting that they'd sell Endo this summer. So I might be in the wrong there, but we've only got 2 DMs, whatever way you look at it. We can't afford to sell one unless we're bringing someone in. I personally would rather we brought someone in and still keep Endo so that we've got 3, plenty of rotation, but what do I know? Moving on to the Anthony Gordon situation, I think it's important to talk about it because it feels like if anything's going to happen this season, this is the most far along in terms of we've had the most information about it. It feels like it's still alive, the deal with Newcastle. So we'll get into that now, but when I say that, I just want to be clear that I think if something does happen with Liverpool, there is every chance that it's a surprise signing that we haven't been linked to, because it's Michael Edwards at the helm again, and that is how he works. So just bear that in mind as, you know, we come to the closing weeks and days of this transfer window. But anyway, we'll start with what Fabrizio Romano said, and then we'll get into the breakdown of other journalists after that. So Fabrizio said, despite speculation about Gordon, I'm not aware of anything new going on. Appreciation remains, but no direct negotiations yet. And also at the conditions, Liverpool consider that too expensive. It's quiet now, but we will see later in the window. Now, the reason he's talking about that is because he's been pressed by Liverpool outlets for some word on the situation after Kevin Palmer and also David Lynch had something to say about Anthony Gordon. Now, we'll start with Kevin Palmer. I wouldn't say he's that reliable. I would go with about 50-50 on this guy, so take this with a pinch of salt, but he said, Liverpool have been encouraged to step up their interest in Anthony Gordon. They are believed to be weighing up a fresh offer that could include players moving from Anfield to St James's Park as part of the deal. To me, if this deal happens, that is the only way it will happen. Anthony Gordon's English, he's young, he had a really great season last season, so he's going to be an expensive player. When you look at what Declan Rice went for example, to Arsenal at 100 million. It's not insane. I know it sounds insane, but it's not insane to expect that Newcastle would say we want 100 million for him. Now, there's no way Liverpool pay that. If you want to get that price down to 70 million or 80 million, then what you're going to have to do is throw some players on top there. So who that would be, I don't know. We know they wanted Jarell Quansah earlier in the window, so it could be a case that it's someone like Sepp van den Berg. But if that's not high profile enough for them, then maybe it's someone like Kostas Tsimikas, or it could even be, and again, this is my own speculation, there's nothing to back this up, but perhaps even 𝘍𝙗 Kelleher, who's looking to be, you know, #1 keeper somewhere else. I think that'd be a great move for him. Not that I want him to go, but if Liverpool are genuinely looking to bring Anthony Gordon in, that could be an option. As I said, Kevin Palmer, 50-50. David Lynch, though, has spoken about this as well on the Anfield Agenda YouTube channel, and he said, on Anthony Gordon, I think that's one that has a real chance of being revived maybe later in the window. Now, just in regards to David Lynch, I wouldn't put him up there as a top tier Liverpool journalist like the likes of Paul Gorst and stuff, but I think he is trying to make a name for himself lately, hence why he's appeared on Anfield Agenda. He's got his own YouTube channel at the moment too, and he does do good work, but you know, if you're putting him in those high 90% reliability rates, he's not there yet for me. So again, I don't think you should be taking this as read. Obviously, all this conflicts with what Fabrizio Romano said, where he's saying it's quiet, but the one thing I'll say about Fabrizio Romano, when we were in the Michael Edwards era under Jurgen Klopp. Fabrizio Romano never got any information on Liverpool. Liverpool run a very tight ship under Michael Edwards, and it feels like that's happening again this season. So just because Fabrizio Romano doesn't know anything does not mean nothing is happening. And I want to stress that because we've still done no business, and I know people are panicking. It's definitely not a good look, but it doesn't mean that nothing will happen. That is all we really know on the Anthony Gordon situation, but for me personally, I think he's a great player and I would absolutely take him at Liverpool. My only concerns are that we desperately need a right winger. We've only got Mo Salah on that right-hand side. Anything happens to him in terms of an injury, or if he's got to go away for AFCON or whatever the case might be, we've really got no one to replace him outside of Dominic Szoboszlai, who's playing in like a half-bit kind of role there, and the same I feel with Harvey Elliott, who now feels much more like a right midfielder. We really need a right winger, and unless you're going to develop Anthony Gordon into a right winger, or you're going to try and develop one of the other players that we have into a right winger, we have an abundance of left wingers at the moment with Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, who I really think Cody Gakpo should start the season in that left wing position, especially after his performances at the Euros. And we know Arne Slot will have been watching that, being Dutch himself. So I can see Gakpo starting in that left wing position. So then that asks the question, why are we trying to sign Anthony Gordon in the first place? And what's going on with Luis Diaz? We also know Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez can both play off that left if need be. So it feels like we have an abundance of left-sided attackers. Why we're looking at Anthony Gordon, I can't quite understand that, unless Liverpool just view it as a great opportunity to bring in a great player. But then I think you do have to question what's going on with other players. You know, we're late in the window now, so if Luis Diaz was to move on, you'd have expected we'd have heard something about it by now. We haven't, so it's all a little bit odd for me surrounding the Anthony Gordon thing, but it also does seem like it's the most progressed deal at the moment, at least what's being reported in the press. Again, there might be something that just comes as a surprise. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about both situations, Endo and Anthony Gordon, and if you want to be up to date on everything going on with Liverpool Football Club, especially if there is a surprise signing that lands at any point in the window, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a like if you haven't enjoyed the content, get yourselves down in the comments, let me know what you guys think about both situations, and as always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.